From a time and an era of outrageous, ruthless, and vibrant expression, comedy was pure gold. From the mid 90s to the 2000s, entertainment was full of pure talent and the last era of greatness. But one TV show stood out in these golden times. It was a show that challenged everything and everyone. That show was Mad TV. Even with SNL being the top dog, Mad TV was a gem. So those of you who don't know what Mad TV is, Mad TV was a parody show, kind of like SNL, but more outrageous and just straight out off the walls, crazy and ruthless. Just it broke all the rules. The only rules they had was swearing, using the cuss words and stuff like that. They couldn't say fuck, they couldn't say shit, but when they did do it, but they bleeped it out, and it made it somewhat a lot. You know what? It made it a lot more funnier when they bleep it out. That actually makes it a lot funnier, and it works. So, a little bit of background history, right, of Mad TV, from where it's actually coming from. Now, a lot of people wouldn't know. I honestly did not know this until I looked it up, and it was pretty obvious. It all started with In Living Color. So, the writers of In Living Color, where is it here? I'm looking this up a little bit. David Salzman, Fax Barr, and Adam Small. They pretty much based their sketches off the Mad Comics, with using the style of In Living Color. So if you take the two, In Living Color, and you look at Mad TV, the style is like pretty much the same. And I didn't really notice growing up. I mean, I noticed, but I didn't really think of it at the time. Growing up as a preteen, I was pretty much like, when I was introduced to Mad TV, it was 1997, I think it was, and it was by far one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And I used to watch a lot of SNL. Saturday Night Live was a part of my life too, but over the years, into the late 90s, into the 2000s, Saturday Night Live was kind of like dumbing down what they were able to do, what they were able to say, what type of things they were able to make fun of. So what was taking place in that was pretty much Mad TV. I looked over to Mad TV, and I started watching Mad TV every Saturday night. It was always airing on Saturday night at 11 p.m. after the news, the 10 o'clock news on Fox 5. It was premiered on not premiered, but it was showing on Fox. So Fox, it was owned by WB, but for some reason it was showed on Fox. But the funny thing is, it was never advertised. They never advertised it at any time during the day or night until it came on. Like, you didn't know about Mad TV at all until you stayed up at night past 10 p.m. You watched the news, and then right after the news, it's Mad TV. So I got introduced to it, from a bunch of friends growing up back in the late 90s who watched it, and if you were a fan of Mad TV, you definitely were a fan of Malcolm in the Middle. That's for sure. I don't know. It was like one of the biggest, it was the two biggest shows back in the days. So anyways, they had, another thing, Quincy Jones was also one of the owners of Mad TV. I had no idea. I never knew this. I was like, wow, Quincy Jones? Holy shit. I couldn't believe it. He purchased the rights to EC Comics from William Gaines, who owned EC Comics in the early 90s before his death. in 1992. He was the owner of EC Comics from 1950, and obviously was the owner of the Mad Comics. But he refused to sell it out because until his death, because he did not want anybody to own the rights for some reason. He didn't like TV. That was one of his main reasons. Actually, it was he didn't like TV. So strangely, because in the 50s, I mean, TV was booming, and you had it was when TV began, and it was pretty much the biggest thing back then. TV was like promoted big time, especially in the 60s, because you had color TV, which is strange. But anyways, you know, you had Jackie Gleason, you had Abbott and Costello, who were on TV back then. I'm surprised he didn't really like TV. So, anyways, Quincy Jones and TV producer David Salzman purchased the rights to EC Comics. So that's where it started. And then you had writers from In Living Color who joined in and started writing sketches and started to write sketches for Mad TV. Mad TV first aired in 1995, I believe it was. Yep, on Fox, October 14th, 1995. And it ran for 14 seasons, all the way up until May 16th, 2009. Now, I knew it was still going at that time, but I didn't like watch it around those times, because 2009 is definitely around the time when I was like, you know, doing other things, learning other things, and out and about. But Mad TV was definitely one of the best shows I've ever seen, and it had the greatest cast. I mean, it started in '95 with a lot of cast who were definitely good cast. You had Deborah Wilson, who started out there, who was definitely one of the longest lasting cast members there, and Nicole Sullivan, Phil Lamar, who was also featured in Pulp Fiction. If Phil Lamar, I used to love. That guy was cool. He was really hilarious, though. Even though he was in Pulp Fiction and like he played like a little serious role there, but this guy was pure comic gold, man. Because he did what was this one guy he did? He was like a lover, a bald headed lover. It was freaking hilarious. One of my favorites he did was definitely it was like a UPS guy he did. The Man in Brown. He was like a mail service guy. But anyways, you had Artie Lange. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Mary Shear, Brian Callen, Orlando Jones. I love Orlando Jones. He was also in Drumline. He was starred in Drumline. He was in what was that other movie? The Time Machine. He was also in The Time Machine. I loved him in both of those movies. He's actually a fantastic actor, Orlando Jones. Like, I'm surprised I didn't see him in that much of any major roles or big roles. I mean, he's a fantastic actor. And David Herman. So the cast was already starting off very good with pure talent. You know, Nicole Sullivan, love her. She was in The King of Queens. She was featured a lot in many episodes of The King of Queens. She also went to do another show. I did not know. I never knew about this. Where is it? Me and My Needs on ABC. I didn't know about that show. All I knew was that she was featured in The King of Queens a lot. She was in many episodes. She played the dog walker. She's a fantastic, an amazing, talented actress and comedian. She's super talented. I love her. And Deborah Wilson. I love Deborah Wilson. So these were the starting cast, starting in 1995. And then as the years were going by and the seasons were going by, more cast. There was some cast leaving, and then there was new cast members. And then starting around 1998, you had Michael McDonald. Those of you who know Mad TV, you know Michael McDonald. Okay. First of all, he did one of the most iconic, legendary characters that everybody knows from Mad TV. It's Stewart. Everybody knows. No! Don't let me do it. I'm in my dark place. So he was definitely one of my favorite characters. Stewart. Everybody knows Stewart. And he did many other characters, but for some reason Stewart was the one that stuck out the most. Everybody was in love with that character. And then you had Aries Spears. Loved Aries Spears. He is another superb talent, man. And he's still doing stand-up comedy to this day. I'm not sure if Michael McDonald is. I think he is. I've seen one stand-up from him once. It was hilarious. Oh, and also Michael McDonald was in the Austin Powers movies. He played he was always like a security guard or something. Aries Spears, I'm not sure if I've ever seen him in a movie, in any big movies, but I know he just does a lot of stand-up, and he's still doing stand-up to this day, and it's just hilarious. He's fantastic, and an amazing impressionist too. One of my favorite all-time impression that he does though is Shaq. I love his Shaq. He definitely, to me, in my opinion, does the best Shaq. When he does a little cross-eyed, and it's hilarious. He did Mike Tyson. He's known for doing a lot. His DMX impression, his Jay-Z, like he's an amazing talent. Then you have Alex Borstein. Alex Borstein was incredible. Miss Swan, that's her biggest role that everybody knows. Her biggest character is Miss Swan. You look like a man. You. I love Alex. She was amazing. Ike Barinholtz. If I'm not, I can't remember who that guy is. Oh, there he is. Okay, yeah, I see a picture of him. Yeah, he's awesome. He was funny. My favorite though was definitely Will Sasso. Will Sasso was definitely my number one favorite, even though many people, majority of people who watched Mad TV favored Michael McDonald and stuff like that, but my favorite was Will Sasso. his impersonation of Steven Seagal, freaking Kenny Rogers, what was the other guy? That musician that did sang for Toy Story. Oh my God, man! Like Will Sasso was just superb. Freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger. I loved when he did Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was just my favorite, and he's just outrageous. Like Will Sasso's a nutball, man. He was the best. In my opinion, from my experience of watching Mad TV, Will Sasso was always my favorite. Then you had Mo Collins. Mo Collins was one of my favorites. Lorraine. When she did Lorraine, I loved it. It was the best. And when she did Stewart's mom, because honestly, I actually knew a woman that was just like that. Who looked like that, dressed like that, spoke like that. I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, but I knew a woman, a lady, a sweet lady here in New York who was just like that. But anyways, Stephanie Weir. I love Stephanie Weir. She's a superb talent too. Dot, one of the best. Nicole Parker, Bobby Lee, and so on. Keegan, you got Keegan and Jordan Peele. Superb talents, man. So then the sketches was also one of the greatest things that you've ever seen on TV. Like SNL had great talented and great sketches, but for some reason between that time of like the late 90s, once it hit like 1998, when the new cast members were coming in, like Michael McDonald, Aries Spears, Will Sasso and stuff, like the show just started getting way more funnier, and just incredibly insane. So the sketches was definitely some of the best sketches you've ever seen in a parody show, a sitcom type of show or parodies. You had parody movies like, Scary Movie and stuff like that, which was pretty much one of the funniest, the best of parody movies. Charlie Sheen did a lot of parody movies, which was hilarious. But they made fun of everything and everyone. There was like no sides to the comedy on this show, and that's why I loved it so much. And it was very diverse. And it was coming from different points of views, different areas, different types of people, different cultures, and they just threw everything in there and just like worldwide and just made fun of everything. But that's what made it so controversial, though, and that's what was starting to lead to its downfall, I guess. So what really led to its downfall? It was the viewers. The viewers was actually starting to like fall down and like just starting to leave the show as the years were going by and into the late 2000s. So I'm gonna pull up a little thing here, record here, of the viewership. So it says here that the majority the majority of the studio audience, starting around like 2000 to 2003, was pretty much averaged at 4.4 million viewers per week. And per week, that's every Saturday, pretty much. I mean, unless it was on cable. They started to put it on cable, like reruns. But the live viewers of when it actually aired on Fox every Saturday night, it was 4.4 million viewers per week. And I was probably one of those viewers because I was every Saturday night on it. And then around, starting from like 2003 up until 2008, it started to lose a lot of viewers. It lost about 6% of its viewers. So it was 2.6 million viewers by then, by 2008. That's a 6% decrease. So what was leading to that, though? That's the question here, is what was leading to that downfall, that people were just like leaving the views or whatever. That is strange. I mean, maybe it was the sketches. Maybe it was getting too controversial by then. I mean, because you have a lot of things like political correctness and things like that, and people were getting offended. There was also a lot of celebrities, who were getting offended by it. I think Mike Tyson did. And then there was Rosie O'Donnell. She definitely got offended by it's Alex Borstein's Rosie O'Donnell was hilarious. Rosie O'Donnell. I'm making myself laugh here because I'm thinking about it. But she was hilarious when she did Rosie O'Donnell. But yeah, I can see the Whitney Houston, Deborah Wilson's Whitney Houston was just top notch. Like the way she was, because they were playing them as drug addicts, like Bobby Brown. He was offended. So there was many celebrities who were basically getting offended. I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger ever got offended. I don't think he ever gets offended when people make fun of him because he knows he's hilarious. He has an hilarious accent and stuff like that. But Arnold is like more confident, so I don't think he really cared. Steven Seagal probably was offended, maybe. I'm not too sure about that. I don't think there's anything on record about that, but I mean, he probably was. But yeah, there was a lot of controversy and stereotypes. A lot of critics were claiming that it was too stereotypical and things like that. But that's what made the show. I mean, you got to understand, it's a parody show. It's a show based on using. It's just making fun of everything and everyone. There's no rules to it. Like it shouldn't have any rules unless it's cursing and swearing. But when they bleeped it out, it was the best. It actually made it funnier when they bleep it out. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, things like that. So there's some things also here. I'm looking up here. There's like Miss Swan was offending a lot of people, calling it out to be racist and things like that, which I don't understand. It's Asian stereotyping, but it really was Asians like that, though. I mean, the thing is, yeah, like it's gonna be controversial because it's like they point out a lot of things that is just out there. Like they made fun of everything that's out there. I mean, that's comedy, though. That's comedy. Comedy shouldn't be biased or based on just one side. It should be open to everything. I mean, comedy doesn't have sides. But also, what I think also too why it started losing viewers, I think it's also because of Comedy Central. Even though they started to air it on Comedy Central, but it was reruns. They never aired it live. They never actually aired the next actual episode that was filmed during that week on Comedy Central. It was Fox. Fox is the one that aired every new episode. So Comedy Central was just showing reruns. But and a lot of people was introduced to Mad TV because of Comedy Central. Nobody really knew about it on Fox, I guess. So, but what I'm assuming, what I was getting to is that I believe that a lot of shows that were coming out, on Comedy Central, you had Adult Swim also, was probably the reasons why a lot of viewers were leaving, because now they had that type of comedy in other shows. Such as, like, you had Adult Swim, you had, like, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, you had Metalocalypse, you had, like, a whole bunch of Robot Chicken. You had a bunch of offensive comedy out there, and you had Dave Chappelle. You had a whole bunch of things out there that was just like pretty much the new Mad TVs pretty much, and you didn't really need Mad TV anymore for that type of comedy. I think that's what happened, and I think their budget was also just dropping they just didn't have enough budget to continue to do what they were doing, because they weren't on like a very, very big budget like SNL. It's like movie budget, so they could do all kinds of like movie style sketches and stuff like that. Where Mad TV, they only had their studio. They did some sketches where they were outside, but that's the most they could do. As far as doing anything that's more realistic. But for the most part, it has to be because of all the TV shows that were coming out, and it's starting around the mid 2000s, like 2004 and stuff like that. You had, Adult Swim and Comedy Central that's basically doing a lot more of that style of comedy and parodies and stuff like that. So, I believe, in my opinion, that's why a lot of viewers were flocking to, elsewhere. Yeah, that has to be the reason why. And because of the controversy, getting it a backlash from critics and stuff like that. But what it says on record, its major downfall was the viewers, that the viewers were just leaving. So, like I said, it has to be that. But yeah, will we see anything furthermore about Mad TV, or will there ever be anything like it again? I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, I really, really did love Mad TV. It was definitely one of the funniest TV shows ever to exist. Besides, In Living Color, which was the predated Mad TV. And In Living Color has a lot of famous stars, and of course many people know it was the Wayans brothers and Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey came from In Living Color, and he just hit it to the top. So I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that so many talented people from Mad TV didn't really hit major roles or anything like that. I'm surprised. I really wished I've seen a lot of them doing more. I really do. Like, man, because Mad TV had superb talent, bro. Like, the cast they had was just incredible. And still to this day, I'm still seeing like stuff on YouTube of former cast of Mad TV still doing things, interviews or podcasts. Like you have Will Sasso doing a lot of podcasts now and stuff with other people. And then you have Ari Spears, like I said, he mentioned, or he's still doing stand up. But that's as far as it goes, though. I really wish I did see them doing more. What else would I wanted to say? Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna see another Mad TV, man. I mean, I hope so, but I don't think we're ever gonna see something like that again, unless because you still have Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live is still going; they're still running, and even though it's really not as funny as it should be, I don't know. I'm just not really interested in Saturday Night Live like that anymore. Like Mad TV had me, man. Like Mad TV, I was fully engaged in Mad TV because it was just outrageous and like it just broke all the rules, and I love that. I love comedy that is not afraid of breaking the rules. Dark humor, crazy, stereotypical humor, all types of humor. It just had it all, and surprisingly, it failed over the years. I don't know. That sucks. It really does. I guess a lot of it too had to do with the rise of social media. Maybe that has a part of it. Social media, like I said, people with the political correctness, people who get offended. Social media just is basically was the start of all that, I guess. It's crazy. It's crazy to know that a show that felt like it was so successful just dropped dramatically out of nowhere. And then you have Saturday Night Live, who are still going. From time to time, though, they do funny sketches. That's like seems like crazy, but it's just not as it's just not as rule breaking as Mad TV was. I guess Mad TV was like the underdogs, the underground of parodies of comedy. I guess that's what it is, But for all in all, Mad TV will definitely be one of the greatest memories of our lifetime. Definitely. But it definitely be stored in our hearts forever. All the fans, Mad TV will definitely live forever in our hearts. So, that's going to be the end of this video. And hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.